Here we are for another episode in Business Analysis Week. We're joined by Yomi Solaru, who's a business analyst at Hitachi based in Leeds. Thanks for joining us, Yomi, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
No problem. Yeah, really appreciate you coming on. Just gonna jump straight into it, really, as I know you're a really busy man. So first question is though, what's been your favorite thing to do in lockdown so far?
I think maybe spending time with the family,
Okay.
doing a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, all right.
That is something that I've really enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, I thought I did before,
Yeah.
normal times, but obviously being at home together, you just have to be more creative, and you get to listen to all the vibes coming from everybody else, and be the leader, but yet be funny, and so it's been good.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Glad to hear you're enjoying it and making the most of lockdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to move into the more serious questions then. So as I mentioned in the intro, you're a business analyst at Hitachi at the moment. But can you tell me a bit about before that and how you got to being a business analyst at Hitachi?
Yeah, sure. Journey has been very interesting, really. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, you were part of that journey, some of it anyway. But before I became a business analyst, I started when obviously what I studied at university. It's not anything to do with computing. I studied microbiology. That was my first degree.
Oh wow.
But I think when I finished, there wasn't much in terms of working in that field. It's something that you have to sort of be almost like a professor or something. I mean, it would have been handy with the pandemic, knowing a bit more about viruses and stuff. But when I finished that, I like computers, and it was sort of like working in the call center when I finished, and it was what was the next thing that I was going to do. And a lot of my friends were kind of in the same boat, and I just picked up a certification course. I think it was AS400 at the time. I picked up something to do with programming, but I passed it. But when I finished, I knew straight away I didn't want to be a programmer, but I enjoyed the customer services side of it. So fortunately, I got a job as a help desk analyst. I think it was 2001, 2002. I can't remember. And basically that's how I started, really, just learning on the job, learning new skills, picking up new technologies as I went along. And I was there, eventually became like a senior help desk analyst. Fortunately, changed roles in 2008, 2009. I worked at, I've heard of GE Money. Okay, so I went to GE Money, and that got bought by American Express. And while I was there, an opportunity came up to second as a business analyst. Now, looking back, that role wasn't a traditional BA, as you would call it now. It's more like a system analyst, but there's an element of requirement gathering for data modeling. So that's how I first of all heard about being a business analyst, but it wasn't really in my mindset at the time. So I think after that, I again had the opportunity, got another job with Call Credit, now called TransUnion. And I was there for about 6 years. And 2017, I went to a company called SSP in Halifax as a business analyst. So the transition from working at TransUnion to SSP wasn't to be a business analyst. I was working as a technical consultant in Call Credit. And that's kind of like a hybrid role where you are doing some of the role or the task of a business analyst, a project manager, a third party, sorry, what am I saying, third party, third line support. So it's a mixture of all sorts of different responsibilities. But the beauty is there's a lot of transferable skills that you could bring into the BA role. So just like you were, me and you met. Somebody again just saw my CV and thought I can do a BSS analyst role. At the time, I wasn't thinking that's something I could do because I just didn't kind of have that concept in my head that that's what I was doing or what I could get into. But I'm sitting now with the agency at the time. They kind of went through my skill set and thought, well, if you have all the skills, surely what you're doing, could be transferred to a BA role. And I kind of took on board that feedback, and here I am now. 2017. I remember very well how I came into contact with you when you rang me. And said, you got a role at Hitachi, where I thought, no way can I do that. It's too vast. It's too kind of detailed what the job role is. Because again, I was working in SSP, but the role was very technical.
Yeah.
Even though they call it a business analyst, but it wasn't kind of what I'm doing now, basically. But the beauty is a lot of transferable skills that I had there. They were very, very suited to a BA role. So, but yeah, and that's what 2018, 3 years ago, and nearly 3 years ago. But here we are now. So yeah, so that's
brilliant.
the journey, really.
That's brilliant.
So,
that's brilliant. Glad to hear, and I'm glad I could be a part of it. And I'm glad you're still happy and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then another question then, just a personal one to you then. What do you see the role of a business analyst as?
Yeah, it's from I won't say traditional, but from a broad perspective, you are kind of like a consultant really for the business. And if I can describe it, you bring a lot of personality traits, a lot of project manager traits, and a lot of business knowledge or SME knowledge into it, and that makes you more rounded to be a consultant, for the business.
All right.
And that's the easiest way to describe it, because obviously you have your toolkit that you will learn, that will help you in the role.
Yeah.
But you have your own interpersonal skills. You have to be, someone that can relate to people, effective communicator, and a team worker. So you have to have all those attributes as a person, and you can develop them as well. Nobody's perfect. I mean, I'm still working on stuff. I never say, I'm the finished product, if you like.
Yeah.
And again, you have to have business knowledge, domain knowledge about the field that you're in or the organization that you're working for. Fortunately, I've worked in finance a lot, so that's kind of giving me a bit more perspective about the world of finance. And it's evolving and still learning. So yeah, in a nutshell, you are like a consultant. Really for business.
Brilliant. Yeah. And then that's the overall view. So what is an average day as a business analyst like for you?
Yeah, so from my perspective, I work in a squad. We call it a squad, but it's basically different expertise really within the team. So we have a developer, a tester, a project manager that oversees delivery and making sure we are delivering to timescales, and the product owner who has a vision for what we should be delivering for the business. So that's the squad. That's the makeup of the squad. So on a daily basis, my role as a BA is to lead the day-to-day working of the product owner's vision. I.e., we're working on a project, and the aim is to deliver something of output, of value to the business, something that the business wants, whether it's to improve process, the current or existing process, or something that will bring money in, or something that will enhance the company's value proposition.
Yeah.
And that's the high level view. But on a day-to-day basis, my job is to make sure that I bring in chunks of work that the squad, i.e. the UI guys, the testers and developers can develop and bring out at the end of the time frame for our sprint, which is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we have a 2-week sprint where you have to break down work and make sure that it's shippable and ready to be deployed into production and bring money in. And basically that's the whole aim. That's why we're there. Yeah. So on a daily basis, we run a stand-up, again, working on everybody sort of like elaborate on what they're working on. And my job is just to facilitate that call to make sure that I'm agitating for more work from the product owner. Yeah. Anything that is not kind of clear or any blockers that anybody have, I facilitate that, step in that leadership role to make sure that we get those things moving. Yeah. Then I also write requirements, get all the user stories, speak to our stakeholders to make sure that, all the requirements that we need for the developers are ready. We've elaborated on it. Yeah. And it's good to go. So yeah, but that's on a daily basis. There's always stuff that's, being prioritized. There's always stuff that we need to be clear on. And the stuff that needs to be tested. Yeah. And I just facilitate all those things, make sure it happens in line with the product owner's vision, as well as the project manager. And yeah, by the time I know it's Friday again.
How long did you say that you've been a business analyst now then?
So in total, I would say 4 years.
What made you choose business analysis over different areas of technology?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, I've touched on it earlier. It's more or less where I saw my skill sets, lying, like I said, I've done a hybrid of roles, customer facing, working with project managers, working with developers.
Yeah.
And it's when I put all this pool of, knowledge into the bowl. It's almost like when I, check box all those things, it turned out that, everything that I was doing there does lend itself to being a business analyst. So it wasn't, like I per se, saw myself as one.
Yeah.
But a mixture of everything that I did that led me to it, and feedback from people as well. I got a lot of feedback from people, people like yourself, people, my manager, all those sort of like, inputs led me to sort of like, think, oh yeah, I could do this. Because I always wanted to be a project manager. Thought that was the best thing for me because I did all this, certification, all the agile PM courses and all that. So I was thinking, yeah, I'll be that.
Yeah.
But it was more what I was doing at the time that led me to it. And I'm glad that, I took that decision. I made that decision really to go with it.
Brilliant. And then, okay, is being a business analyst what you thought you'd be doing 10 years ago then? Or no, wait, let me ask you a different question. You just said that you didn't expect to be a business analyst, that you're looking more at project management. Did you expect to be a project manager 10 years ago?
It's a good question. Yes, in a way. Okay. Yeah, just because the theory behind it, I was learning it actively. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And I made effort to shadow people that were project managers and wanted to learn from them so that I could be that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And was that going to be a project manager within technology specifically, or was it more a broad project management skill set?
I think it was within IT. Because I was kind of focused on software development. Just again, it's down to the environment I was working in, really, to be honest. I was just within a software development space. So it was more or less, okay, yeah, that was the next thing that you could sort of like, see myself progressing to at the time.
What/who do you feel you represent when you're in the workplace?
I think I represent, me as a Black person, honestly. And I have this perception that, people are looking at you, and thinking, oh, is this what these people are like?
Yeah.
What do we bring, first? Then obviously as a person, obviously I've got my own integrity, your diligence and your credibility anyway to, to sort of like, look after, to make sure that you maintain.
Yeah.
But also, I also think, if they want to hire another Black person, would they think, oh, the one that we had before wasn't that good, so let's not hire him again? Because, I feel like in my head, that is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
So, I do think about it. It's always in the back of my mind.
Really. That's a brilliant point. And it's definitely something I and probably a lot of people watching this video can relate to as well. And then just on that then, as a Black man within technology, or a Black person, sorry, are there any stereotypes or ideologies you feel you've had to disprove while you're at work?
I would say maybe not in this current role, to be honest. Not since I've been at Hitachi. It's been great, here. And again, I've got the experience. I've learned to sort of like, develop myself, articulate myself better and all that. But yeah, initially, I kind of observed that, okay, because obviously I'm, I lived in Nigeria for a bit. And I noticed that, people kind of pick on my accent a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Not this role, like I said, like my previous role when I first started out. Really. I noticed that kind of could knock your confidence somehow.
Yeah.
But thank God I kind of learned and had people around me who were understanding and supported me to deal with all those issues.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So if there was a young person who was maybe from a different country, or a young Black person, for example, or just any young person, what advice would you have for them in terms of getting a career in technology and overcoming some of the hurdles?
Yeah, I'll say, you know, come to the industry or to the field from a point of value. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very important that you skill up. You know, you understand the field and you understand the skills. But I think what you should put at the forefront is the value that you can add to the organization. You know, the energy you can bring. And you might say, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it means as a person, what are the things that you think you can add to the organization, you know, to whoever is going to employ you?
Yeah.
Your credibility, for example, you know, demonstrate that by explaining maybe our interview that, okay, yeah, you know, here's the value I can add.
Yeah.
The experiences that you've had before, you know, they are valuable.
Yeah.
Even if it's home training, I don't know, those are things that I feel they're very, very useful. You know, your personal traits is a difficult thing because sometimes when we come to interview, we just want to say the nice things.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important to, you know, come to the organization from a point of value, the value that I can add to them. You know, your credibility will do, your your working ethics, you know, bring that as well, you know. Because that's something that you just never know. It might make you stand out. But like I said, it's also very important as well to develop your technical skills, to be knowledgeable about the field, do your research before you know, come into the industry.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Are there any hurdles that you specifically have had to cross during your career journey so far?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, you know, personal belief is something that I've kind of had to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mentioned some of my experiences earlier, you know, and they kind of maybe knocked my confidence slightly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had to deal with that. And as a result, I felt like I was a bit stagnant, not moving as quick as I would like to. But that's because I didn't have that self-belief. Yeah, there were sort of like, you know, environmental issues or maybe the environment I was working at the time, but I don't see that as much of a barrier. It's more or less my own self-belief really that have kind of hindered me, and I've had to deal with that and overcome it to move on.
Yeah, okay, fine. And then these are more questions around like companies and company culture. So as you just said, you had to work on like your own self-belief. Do you think there's anything companies can do to make their employees believe in themselves more and feel more confident and comfortable within their businesses?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, you know, they can create forums where people can talk about such things, you know, what they would like to develop. You know, I find again, you know, being at Hitachi, it's been great because they recognize everybody's different.
Yeah.
They recognize diversity, both, you know, cultural and both, you know, interpersonal. They recognize all those things, and they created forums where people can share and, you know, bring up things that they feel that, you know, they're not happy with. You know, okay, I mentioned self-belief, but there are other things as well. I'm sure everybody has different things that they will, you know, like to improve on. Yeah, I think companies could do, you know, with recognizing that, you know, to get the best out of their people.
Yeah.
They can create forums where people can talk about all these things, training courses, awareness, days, something like that. Yeah, it's one thing that we could do. And I feel like, you know, with Hitachi where I work now, they've done that brilliantly.
That's great. That's great. And yeah, you just spoke about Hitachi and some of the great stuff they do around forums. Is there anything else they do to really promote that inclusive and diverse culture?
Yeah, again, just going back to the forum thing as well. They have all, you know, across the spectrum of what is going on in the wider society, whether it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's, you know, ethnic, you know, whether it's women in work. So they have, you know, pretty much everything for all these issues that people, because again, the forums I was referring to there is not just the leadership team saying, oh yeah, we want to lead this. They left it up to the employees to come up with these ideas, and they supported it. So yeah, so everything I've touched on there does, as I said, currently exist as far as I can see anywhere. I touch it. You know, people that like volunteering, for example, you know, they encourage that. So yeah, I feel it's happening, in my opinion. You know,
all right, lovely. Thank you so much. We're on the last question now then. Is there any companies, organizations, or people that you want to shout out for the work they're doing in the community? around issues that you care about?
I mean, I do a lot of volunteering myself to look after, children in my community. We've got a supplementary school, but that's about it, really. There's nothing specifically that stands out that I say, give them a big shout out. But
yeah, fair enough. No problem. And what's your tutoring or your school called? Then does that need a shout out?
Yeah, sure. It's Excel at NCL, and maybe the shout out is for the volunteers that help out,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just looking after children. Obviously, we're on lockdown now, so we do a lot of things virtually for the children. Yeah. So, big shout out to our volunteers and our community that supports what we do, really.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm just gonna say thank you so much. We just hit the last question, as I said. You've been an amazing guest. You've given some fantastic answers, really deep, really honest. So I really appreciate those, Yomi. Thanks again for doing this. Thanks again, and I will catch up with you later.
Brilliant. It's a privilege, man. And like I said, keep up the good work, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No problem.